I would like to introduce you to my friend EmpathStarSeed. Me and her have been talking for a long time, and she's one of those rare, like-minded people who, like many of us here, has the ability to see the truth and the world being for what it really is. Recently, we recorded a long podcast discussing human reality and our struggles with it and other people. This recording is a part of a longer conversation we had, and in it we discussed the challenges a truth-seeking and truth-seeing person has to face in society. Sandy is soon to become a psychotherapist, and she offers an interesting insight into the world of medical establishment dealing with empaths and those who don't buy into obvious lies and propaganda. I'm making this audio file available in preparation for a video that I will upload at some point soon, in which I'll explain to you how after years of research I discovered that human knowledge, science, and everything you know and everything you're actually made of is a one big fabricated lie. I've been waiting to make that video for a long time, and I feel now might be the right moment. It's a video that should be important to the psychedelic community given the decades of lies and misinformation about the healing effects of plant medicine and entheogens. Based on the analogy of this misinformation and the corruption of the politicians and big pharma, I want to show you how every other area of our lives was carefully designed to condition you to have certain mindset and beliefs leading you to a particular type of behavior in a social environment. It will be an important and a very controversial video on this channel, and not everybody will be ready for it. But it needs to be made, as the insight into and the understanding of the metaphysical and psychedelic world can't be complete without understanding the methods used to distort the truth about our earthly reality. 434 is a special place for people with expanded emotional capacity and those who understand the true nature of this existence, and I hope you can help me maintain it by supporting me and 434 financially. All methods listed on the screen now and in the video description. The full audio of me and Sandy discussing crazy conspiracies was uploaded to Patreon and Subscribestar and is available to all supporters. If you want to hear more from Sandy in the future, let me know, and if you want to contact her, the link to her Instagram is in the video description. Enjoy the podcast. To those of you who are listening, me and Sandy, we talked for a long time about how difficult it is to live in a world made of people who are either not able to see the truth or they don't want to see the truth. And I wanted you to say again what you told me from your perspective. What it's like to deal with the ability to see the truth.
It's hard. You just feel very alienated from the world. And then the more you keep educating yourself on what's going on, the more you feel like you're literally living in a matrix. Like everything around you feels so scripted. Sometimes you even question if you're going crazy, and you're not. It sucks because when you try to honestly like warn people too, and it's coming from a genuine place in your heart about what's going on, you're automatically like excommunicated from that person's life. People look at you weird. They even tell you, in schools, like when you talk about stuff that's labeled as a conspiracy theory, they literally tell you, you do not want to talk about this because you could be seen as psychotic, and that's not really professional. And I'm like, are you guys serious right now? Like, so I have to mute my identity.
So you're studying now to become a psychoanalyst?
So to become a clinical therapist, or to become, a psychotherapist. But I mean, one day I do want my PhD in order to be a psychologist. They essentially almost do the same thing. It just one has a higher degree. But it's just, it's ridiculous because psychologists that do speak out too about what's going on, they're automatically seen as crazy. I mean, I was talking to one of my professors that I had, and he's a psychologist, about what's going on, right? And he sends me a whole article talking about how people that believe in conspiracy theories are crazy, and that this is just made, that their belief is built upon loneliness, and they feel special because they hold some secret information. I was really offended. I was like, what secret information? It's not top secret. It's right there if you research it.
Yeah. This is, what was the story that you told me that you are being discouraged from talking to your patients about metaphysical stuff? What was that? Can you remind me?
Oh, they're basically just telling us to, like, when you have clients, like, they literally said this in class, and they're talking to you about, like, for example, and we all know this, like the government is spying on me. So if I have a client that's talking about how the government is spying on them and how like they're having like a breakthrough like spiritually, how I have to help them come back to reality and remind them that what they're believing is a conspiracy and it's going to do them more harm than good. They're actually coming up with like diagnoses for people that believe this stuff. They're labeling people that believe in what we believe in as crazy.
Because I was thinking the other day, I was looking at what you post on your Instagram, what I do with my videos, and I'm thinking if any of our families decided one day that they wanted to look us up, they could use this as a proof, and it would totally hold water in like a court environment. Like if there was a legal case against us, they would totally win. This
Yeah.
is it got to a point where this is pretty much just legally insanity.
It is. It's so sad. They told us too. You just reminded me. Like they tell you everywhere in professional environment, be careful of what you have on your social media. Like I know if someone wanted to use something against me, they're gonna take a screenshot of my Instagram and be like, okay, you see the stuff that she's posting? She's talking about like truth is considered terrorism, the
Oh
new
yeah.
normal. Like they're gonna think I'm nuts. But essentially, it's really sad because if you look now, being fake gets you really liked. And people don't even understand that they're buying into fakeness. I don't know if it's because like they want to feel a sense of belonging. I think I told you about a friend that I had in New Zealand who really annoyed me. She was giving me statistics. I mean, not even statistics, like just information that was wrong. And I was showing her the facts. I literally showed her proof that they are exaggerating about the numbers of corona. And you know what her excuse was? She said, they already came out and said why they're exaggerating. They have to do that because they don't know how many people outside of the hospitals are dying from it. So they have to exaggerate the numbers in order to make up for the lives lost. I'm like, are you listening to yourself right now?
And it's the only disease that it's done to. There's no other disease where we do this weird of type, this creative statistics. It's just this one, and somehow it doesn't. It's not a red flag. There are no bells. Like everybody's okay with this. I mean, how does it work in people's heads?
I have no idea. And it's scary. You know, Corona, if anything, this whole pandemic, it really showed me how people are truly brainwashed. I mean, you kind of always knew it, you just didn't see it to the light. I
Yeah,
mean, in light as it how it is now.
there was no environment in which this could be actually exposed. I know what you're saying. Like I've lost so many friends and family members, now not talking to me because I told them some of this stuff. Like I said, listen, this is you cannot commit suicide and have the cause of death is COVID in your death certificate. I mean, do you understand what's happening at the moment? And there are doctors who come out saying that half of those deaths are actually fake, that they have nothing to do. Oh, so this is the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this, because what we figured out when we were talking is that sooner or later, this will have a very detrimental, very damaging effect on our health, right?
It is. It
It's
is. We're gonna feel more and more lonely, and it's I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel just really suffocated. I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I'm done.
Yeah, it's not just that you are, because there's many things that are happening at the same time. Well, first of all, you're left alone with your own thoughts because the way we talk to each other, there's not many people you can do it with. I mean, even the 434 community, and anytime I say something, they all go, "Whoa, no, no, no! Let's not say this. Let's not touch this." I'm like, guys, if you have an open mind, then apply it to everything else, because there's a lot of stuff that you need to re-examine and analyze everything, question everything, because everything you're being told is just a bunch of baloney. The next thing is that if you keep everything bottled up, at some point you will start suffering physically. Like this is not healthy to keep stuff inside, and will have impact on your immune system, everything else.
It does. It does because your physiology affects your, your state of mind and your I mean, your state of mental being is going to affect your physiology. And what's sad though is it's healthy to talk about it, but you can't talk about it. You really can't.
Well, because as soon as you come out with this, they'd be like, "Oh, you're the best type of treatment you'll get. Oh, you're a crazy conspiracy theory. You're one of those Alex Jones, David Icke type of people." But the worst that can happen is that you lose friends and family, and then some of you, I mean, people could call police, or they could, you could lose your job. Anything goes now. It's whatever they want to do to you, they'll do it, and they use it as a proof.
Absolutely. I remember, and I was just having a regular conversation with this guy at school. He was talking about the moon, and somehow it ended up being about the moon landing. And all I said was, I don't believe that they went to the moon. I'm sorry, especially in the year that they said they went to. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. And he's like, "Oh, so you're one of those?" And I was like, "What's one of those?" He's
But
like,
there's a category for us already, right?
yes. And then he's like, one of those people that's like anti-government, that like believes in all these conspiracies. And he was dancing around when he said it. I was just like, wow, so you're one of those that just believes anything that you're told because the people that say it to you, you think that they have like that they're credited or something. And he's like, come on, why would they lie? And I was like, why won't they lie?
Yeah, that's the right question. Why wouldn't they? If you were in their place, if you had all the money, all the power, wouldn't you lie just for the benefit of whatever you need to accomplish? I mean, it's a logical step. It's pretty much the next step. Once you gain all the power, all the money, the next step is, okay, how can we brainwash everybody so that we further our agenda? And that should be an obvious, that's how it works. But
Yeah.
yeah, people don't understand it at all. It's just I we as a group, I mean, you're called EmpathStarSeed, right? Um,
Hmm.
People who are empaths, people who are emotionally more, I don't know, enhanced. I don't know what the right phrase would be for that, but people who are seeing more and feeling more, there's not that many of us. And we already, by the virtue of feeling more and seeing more, we're already much more vulnerable to external whatever. If you go to work in an office, you're already an outcast. If you go to Thanksgiving with your family, you're already a black sheep talking about weird stuff. That thing alone makes you really, really, yeah, a very difficult type of a person to coexist with. So we all need to stick together. Now, if you add to it the ability to connect the dots and understand everything, and then if you go down that path, and you start doing all the soul searching, and then work on the metaphysical stuff, and you develop, God forbid, some kind of weird abilities like telepathy, like I do on mushrooms, I mean, you become a certified lunatic, don't you?
Yes, yes. And speaking of like mushrooms and even weed, like don't you feel like too, like especially like I know for me, like when I smoke, I really do read people's thoughts. It's not a joke. Like it's not imaginative. Like I could legit hear it. It makes me like, really notice people around you. That's why I think of like psychedelics and weed. They're essentially just eye openers.
Well, that's why they're talking about third eye, and I think I told you this. The active ingredient, psychoactive ingredient in ayahuasca, used to be called, before it was called hermine, it used to be called telepathine, and it's because people had telepathic skills on after taking ayahuasca. And I'm writing this book now about 434 and everything. I'm just putting it in a book. Everything that I have in my videos now, I'm gonna make a book about machine elves and everything like that. I'm gonna publish it for people to understand what's happening. But one of the reasons where I list everything why I think machine elves are real, it recently occurred to me that I don't need to explain myself why I think they're real. I think we need to ask thousands of people who lived in Amazon forest who would say that ayahuasca is basically a what do they call it, a dead person's juice or something like that, because they could talk to dead people. So it doesn't need to come from me. You need to talk to generations of people who developed ayahuasca ceremonies and that kind of stuff, because they know it works. So is it like a collective hallucination or a collective delusion that everybody suffers from? I don't think so.
No, absolutely not. Like, it's been scientifically proven too. Like, when they look at the brain, for example, when people do DMT and stuff like that, it opens portals in our brain that cannot be opened, like, without these substances. And they make you see things that are actually existing, but your eyes regularly cannot see it. And it opens up your conscious in a whole different way. And it's insane that the things exist and we're limiting humanity from seeing something that exists by
I
calling it fake.
I wonder how long it will take for humans to get to the point, and if they'll ever get there, when facts are enough for them to understand that there might be something more to life than just eating chips and reading magazines and watching TV. Because it's we're getting to a point where we already know that the lifestyle we had for decades led us to absolutely nowhere. It's everybody's sick, everybody's divided. How do people not see that?
I think people don't see it because from what's everything that goes on, it's done in stages. So like for example, if you put a frog in hot boiling water right away, it's gonna jump out. But if you put him in cold water
Oh yeah.
and you keep warming it up little by little, he stays and he becomes like one with his environment. So like right now, people have been groomed for so long, which is why I understand why they can't see the truth. It's frustrating to us because we've also grown up in the same environment. So you're giving them something, like you're trying to plant seeds, but people completely reject it.
Yeah, yeah. What would be your advice on how to deal with being one of those people who see the truth?
Okay, for my number one thing is stop questioning if you're crazy because there are moments where you're going to feel like, okay, am I going crazy? Could this really be happening? No, you're not crazy. Second of all, accept that you are seeing the truth for what it is and embrace it. Like, be actually happy because the more you know, the more you could potentially protect yourself from what's going to happen in the future. And it is going to be frustrating. You are going to lose a lot of friends. That's just something you have to accept. You're going to lose a lot of connections with people, but you need to know that like knowledge is power and to own it. Honestly, like if people are going to judge you without even really digging deep, then those are people that were never even meant to be in your circle because you guys are operating on a different level of consciousness.
I would say that that's great advice, and I would only add that there's no difference between going through a psychedelic experience and being born with the ability to see the truth. As you were talking, just occurred to me that there's a lot of analogies and similarities between those two. It's pretty much just being ready to have your world put upside down after taking psychedelics. And the same way, once you accept that what you see is true and it's real, then at the same time you need to be ready to lose your friends. And as you said, just be happy. That's something that many of us forget, that you should enjoy the fact that you have those skills, because they seem like a burden at first, but
Mm-hmm.
then once you start allowing them to guide you through life, you'll start seeing the benefits, and also you'll start seeing how good it feels to actually give in to just your own senses and your logic, because people fight it. So yeah, that was very good. Sandy, thank you very much for all of this. If people want to find you, if they want to contact you, what's the best way? Social media, where would you want people to go to?
Yeah, probably on Instagram. So it's underscore empath no spaces, and then another underscore, and then they can find me. And whoever's listening to this, like, I wish you well. Please do not take the vaccine that's coming out. That's all I'm gonna say.
I always say the same thing. I always say, if you want to, make sure you're the last one, because that should definitely help you. But the link will be in the video description for people to see. I'll see how I'll upload this. I know it will be very controversial. I'm not sure if everybody's ready for everything, so maybe parts of this will go online, but definitely all of it will probably be for all the supporters of 434, because there's not that many people there. So yeah, thank you very much for this, Sandy.
Oh, no, no problem. Thank you for having me.